Hadouken! I was going to talk about Diddy. I was going to talk about Diddy today, but I was washing my clothes, and so happens the dude, the man in the bow tie. You know, the man in the bow tie. Our favorite ambassadors of Islam. The black ones. The black ones, not the Arab ones. The black ones. You know, they love Elijah Muhammad. They love Louis Farrakhan. They love them. Love them. They want 196 million acres. They want 4.9 million mules. They want the whole state of California, and they're saying if they had that, it would have been sweet. The world, their world, everything. They can grow all their own food and just have everything. They're full of complaints. I see him today, and he's talking, and he says, "Oh, do you know what a Muslim is?" I say, "Yeah, it's someone who submits to God." They keep in mind they love to play word games and semantics and not tell the whole truth. So I'm like, "Yeah, I mean submit to God." But I told him, I said, "I'm not a Muslim though. I'm not a Muslim because of Muhammad's character." So he's like, "Oh, what do you mean? What do you mean?" I'm like, "Didn't Muhammad have sex with a 9-year-old girl? Didn't Muhammad have sex with a 9-year-old girl? He married her when she was 6 and consummated it when she was 9. She was 9 years old." So I told him I can't get behind that. How could I support a man who does things like that? And this is supposed to be the perfect example of a man is Muhammad. So I told him, I said, "How do you follow a man like that?" He gives me an example. He says, "Oh, my grandfather made my grandmother when she was 15 and he was 20. And that would be wrong today. So we can't judge our standards today to then." And I'm like, at no time period in history has it ever been okay for a 50-plus-year-old man to have sex with a 9-year-old. Then the dude says, "Oh, her dad gave him permission to marry him and and have sex with her." And I said, a 9-year-old can't give consent. I said the father in Muhammad should have got stoned to death. He didn't like that. We were destroying him. They had a couple old heads out there. You know how old heads be. They started saying, "Obama's a Muslim. That's why he did it. That's why he did it." And I was just getting on him. And any chance I got, I was like, "Oh, he's doing that because he's like, oh, because the old man kept saying, oh, he's doing that because he's Muslim." I'm like, yeah, he has no morals. He has no morals. He's a Muslim. He has no morals. Then I asked him, I said, "Was Muhammad perfect?" And he's like, "Yeah, he's perfect." And I'm like, how? What about the satanic verses? I was getting into him. And I haven't done apologetics in a while, but shout out to David Wood, because he really got me. Like I could just I was naming things off. I was talking about the hadiths. I dropped Sahir Muslim, just so he couldn't try to use his intellect. That's what he was trying to do. I couldn't get the word out. Shirk. I couldn't remember the word because I was like, yo, because he was trying to say, oh, Christ didn't. He was saying like he was a prophet or something, and he submitted. And I want to say, I kept saying like, but didn't he do this? Like he compared himself to a man. He compared himself to God. And I personally believe that Christ is the Son of God. He says it all the time. He says, "God's my Father." People can't get through to Him, but through me. I'm the way. You got to come through me to my Father. Plain and simple for me. And then I was like, oh, what about like, because he was saying God was a person. I was like, wow. I said I couldn't remember the word shirk. I wanted to be like, yo, you're committing shirk right now, because he said God was a man. I said, whoa. And then I had to tell him, I was like, yo, The Arabs don't even accept you guys. The Nation of Islam, they don't accept you guys. You guys aren't real Muslims. I was hitting, oh man, Hadouken! I was getting them. I put them in the pot. It was like a lobster. Like, it was like a crab, because lobsters don't really be fighting like the crabs be going crazy. You get a bunch of crabs, get a bag full of crabs, and pour them in a pot, they're gonna be running everywhere. You gotta fight, you gotta push the pot down and make sure sometimes they jumping off, and then they jump down, you gotta knock its claw off and fight it. And that's what I was doing. I was, oh man. And then I was like, yo, isn't Muhammad a white man? I made him admit that because he was talking all this black power. I was like, isn't Muhammad a white man? He was like, yeah, he was a white man. I said that already. I'm like, you said it because I said it. I brought it out. I said, isn't Muhammad a white man? Didn't Muhammad own slaves? Black slaves? Weren't Arab slaves worth more than black slaves? Didn't he call them raisin heads? So I was just dropping everything. And this is without any, I haven't, like I said, I haven't practiced my apologetics in a while. I just kind of let it go. But just so happens he came up. He came up and he got brought down. And then I asked him, I said, isn't Muhammad white? He said, yes. I said, isn't Christ black? And he's like, yeah. So I'm like, why would we follow the white man? And you're talking about how bad white people are. Why would we follow Christ? He's like, oh, no. He was stumped. He was stumped. I stumped him. He didn't know what to say. And I said, didn't Muhammad die? He was like, yeah. And I'm like, Christ died and came back. So Christ is alive and Muhammad's dead. So why would you choose to follow the dead man? Why would you choose to follow the dead man? No answer again. No answer again. And when we ended the conversation, I said, I want you just to ponder the character. He was like, oh, okay, I'm going to look at the whole thing though. And it's like, if you have sex with a 9-year-old, what else is there? What else is there? That you can do no good. You can do no good. There's no good that comes from a man like that. And if you ever find yourself in a situation where you have to defend a 50-plus-year-old man having sex with a 9-year-old, yo, you're in a bad place. What Michael Jordan said, get some help. Get some help. Stop following people. Follow God.